I started the company in 1972, came to Newport, enjoyed the place. I wanted to stay here. I had no former training or experience as a metalsmith, but I knew I wanted to live in Newport. And when I couldn't find work in my normal trade, which at that time was automobile mechanics, I found a job in a small shop that did metal restoration and repair work on hollowware, silver hollowware, which is what we think of when we say teapots and tea services and trays and things of that nature. I just started working there as on-the-job training, learning the basic skills. Eventually, I learned how to do quite a lot of sophisticated repair work on material like silver cups and bowls and teapots, and I realized that I really loved the work. That started me in my career as a metalsmith, and from that job, I migrated to my own business, making and creating, designing, what have you, my own pieces in silver and 14-karat gold. We've gone from a one-man workshop to a full-blown metalsmithing shop with 3 full-time bench workers. Hope you'll visit our shop at 128 Spring Street if you're ever in Newport, or at least stop by and say hello. Thank you. We use a lot of lost wax casting to make copies of our original designs. In order to cast the jewelry, we build what's called a casting tree using the individual wax copies, and we can attach them using a hot wax pen to a central core of wax so that we build a structure that looks a lot like a tree. And what we do with the lost wax casting process is make an incredibly detailed copy of the original handmade piece. We pour investment around the wax model, let it harden, put it in what we call a burnout kiln. The burnout kiln takes the entire mold up through stages of temperature until it reaches 1300 degrees. This takes about 6 hours, and during that 6-hour period, the wax is melted and then eventually vaporized, leaving a cavity in the mold that is an exact copy of the wax that was in there. This is the mold for the gold or silver we're going to pour in to make the copy of the original piece. Hence the name lost wax. The process has been around for thousands of years. We do it with a lot of new technology involving computerized burnout kilns, vacuum casting machines, but essentially it's the same process that the Egyptians used. Once the piece is cast in the mold, we put the mold to one side. It's usually cast at around 1100 degrees Fahrenheit, and let the metal cool till it solidifies. And once the metal has cooled to solid state, and the mold is still quite hot, we take the whole thing and plunge it into a bucket of cold water, and the thermal shock shatters the investment and leaves the raw casting exposed. And that's the piece we use to make our jewelry from. One of the nicest pieces of jewelry we make entirely from hand is our gold forged cuff. It's made from a strip of 14-karat yellow gold, which we form using silver smithing techniques. First, the piece is shaped roughly at the end of a maple stump, which we've had for probably 30 years. It's got depressions in it to fit the contour of the bracelet we want to create. We forge or hammer the bracelet into that to get the basic shape of the bracelet made. This takes a little bit of time, and we alternate between pushing, or what we call gouging, the metal into the stump and then shaping it over a steel stake, always trying to even the surface as much as possible. Once we have the basic shape made, we start the process of texturing the bracelet. This is truly the forged part. We take what's known as a raising hammer, which is a very narrow-faced hammer. We put the bracelet over a steel stake that fits the inside shape of the bracelet, and we use the raising hammer to texture the piece from one end to the other. As the piece is forged, the metal stretches, and the middle of the piece stretches more than the outer edges, and that causes the shape of the bracelet to achieve an even nicer cross-section curve. This process takes a couple of hours, and when it's done, we have a beautiful kind of rippled effect, which gives the gold a very gleaming, definitely hand-wrought look. The Byzantine bracelet is one of our most popular handcrafted gold pieces. We've been making it for many years. I first learned how to make the chain from an English silversmith who visited my shop back in the 90s. Introduced himself to me. He was quite a bit older than I was, but we got along famously because of our mutual love of the craft. And he showed me how to make this really neat bracelet. We started making it then, and we've been making it ever since. The basic process is to take gold wire, we wrap it around a arbor to make a coil, then we cut the coil so that it falls apart into small rings, all of equal size. Those rings are then carefully assembled into groups of 4 rings each, which creates a segment of the chain. Then we take each one of those 4 groups of 4 and link them together with 2 more rings. We repeat this process endlessly, if need be, until we get the length of chain we like, or that were required, large, small. We've even made necklaces as long as 30 inches, pretty spectacular looking. Once the bracelet is completely assembled, that is, the chain is made, we put our signature Breakell tag on the bracelet with a toggle, which is welded in place, and a corresponding ring on the opposite end for the toggle to pass through and secure the bracelet. It's one of my favorite pieces. It's a good example of the skill level that we have amongst our silversmiths in the back shop. The ladybug pin, or should I say the ginkgo leaf pin with ladybugs, is an amalgamation of 2 different designs we've had for quite a while. The ginkgo leaf pin was designed and originally made by me, and the ladybugs we incorporated into the line 10 years ago. Last year we decided it would be fun to put gold and silver together in the form of the silver ginkgo leaf pin and 2 small ladybugs. It's kind of a romantic, whimsical piece, and it's been extremely popular, and we just love the idea of combining the 2 forms of precious metal, gold and silver. The amethyst berry jewelry is one of our newest designs, and we're really quite pleased with it. It involves a lot of color with the beautiful amethyst 8mm bead, plus the luster of the silver of 14 karat gold, which we mounted in. The piece is a collaboration between my wife Joan, who designed it, and one of our bench workers, Laura Blank, who fabricated it. It's a beautifully handmade piece involving wire, the bead, and a casting of a little flower, which we lace the bead into using a piece of wire, and it's carefully polished. It takes several steps to do that. And the final luster with the rouge wheel is absolutely beautiful.